Well, hey everybody, hope you're doing well and staying safe. This week I was able to have some conversations with people that reminded me of some really funny stories of things that happened to me that were either out of my control, that just made me look foolish, or just I dropped the ball. Uh, but both of these happened at internships that I did, so I was serving in ministry, but I wanted to just share these with you, make you laugh a little bit. The first was at an internship that I did at a larger church. I had gone to this church in high school a bit, and I had known the staff and a couple of the people. And during my first week there, the young adult leader decided to take me out to lunch, just kind of talk me through some different things, enjoy some time together. We went to this great place called Burgatory, and so in the Pittsburgh area. If you ever get the chance, go there. It is so good. Burgers, shakes, everything. And as we were talking, as we were enjoying some food, he said, "Hey, I have to run another errand. The place that I'm going to is going to close in a little bit. Can we if you want to get dessert, do you want to get a milkshake to go?" And I said, "Yeah, that would be great." So I was looking at the list of milkshakes off the menu, and they were split into two different categories. There were regular milkshakes, and then there was something they called hard milkshakes. And me, just being me, I thought that a hard milkshake meant that they were thicker, and I would really like my milkshakes to be thick, kind of more like an ice cream kind of thing. So I ordered one of those. And this is I believe this was my first time at Burgatory. And so when the waitress came back, he ordered first, and then I ordered mine, and they both kind of looked at me of like, "You can't take this to go." And I was like, "Why? I don't understand." And the waitress had to explain to me that a hard milkshake meant that there was alcohol in it. Because this was a burger bar joint, they serve alcoholic drinks as well. So, just being two youth pastors, or soon to be youth pastors, or two guys in ministry, we just kind of laughed it off. And honestly, if you probably ask him today, he probably wouldn't remember it. It just kind of made me just really be like, "Oh, just drop the ball, just looking really dumb right now." But we had a good laugh about it, and they were able to make me my milkshake without alcohol in it so that we could go. But that's the first story. And the second one is also at an internship at another church. One of my first nights there, I was helping out with, because it was the end of summer, or beginning of summer, end of their school year. They had a preschool. That's the word I'm looking for. They had a preschool next door that was affiliated with the church, and they were having preschool graduation. So my job, because I was just fresh, starting new, was to help out with parking. And as we're setting some stuff up, there's a closet in the back in the room in one of the buildings for us to grab some cones, some signs for parking, different things. And one of the pastors and I are back in that room. We're getting things. We're ready to carry them out. And I'll stop this story to give you a little bit of side information that really helps. I had just gotten back from my trip to Israel for 2 weeks. Walking around, touring day in, day out, hour-long hikes on different trails and things in the hot 100-plus degree weather. So I lost some weight during that time, some water weight at least, and then just being very active during that time. This was in high school, so I lost probably about 10, 15 pounds during those 2 weeks, if not more. And I just got back, was there that first week, started straight from that into this internship, and then went in for this first night. So as we're getting these things, as I have all of my hands full of signs and cones and different things, I had a belt on my pants, but it wasn't good enough, and my pants just completely flew down, and luckily it was just me and another pastor on staff, so we just had a good laugh about it, even though I was completely embarrassed. But now I am sharing this with the world, and it's going to be on the internet for the rest of my life. So I'm just realizing that now. But I share these things with you to remind us in a very funny way that none of us are perfect. I could share other stories of me dropping the ball even worse, of messing up and failing in different areas in my character, the different ways that I've lashed out and hurt people, the different decisions that I've made that have impacted me negatively or people around me negatively. But I say all those things to remind us that we're not perfect, and sometimes we just need to accept that we've messed up, that we have dropped the ball, that we did something wrong. And of course, there's consequences to our actions. Maybe in those circumstances, really the only consequence was me just having to live with the fact that I am just weird and that I'm awkward at times, and some things are out of my control, and that I need to be a little bit smarter when I look at at a menu, or I need to put another notch on my belt. But regardless, some of the important things when we do mess up is acknowledging that we have sinned, that we have missed the mark on those areas, and that we should be willing to seek forgiveness. And I think the best story from Scripture that goes along with this is that of Peter after Jesus' resurrection. If you remember, Peter denies Jesus 3 times before he's crucified, after he's arrested, and just sits with that guilt for those 3 days, those 4 days. And it destroys Peter. We see after the rooster crows, after his 3rd denial, that he weeps, that he is extremely distraught, that he knows that he has failed Jesus in his biggest time of need on this earth, and is really struggling with what to do next. So after Jesus' resurrection, we find that Peter is out fishing. He goes back to what is normal for him. You remember, before Jesus had called him to be a disciple, Peter was a fisherman. So he's back out fishing. Jesus finds him, and they have this conversation together. After Jesus revealing himself to him, they have this side conversation over a meal. And this is a very famous passage. Pastors love to break this down to get into the original text, but that's not what I want to focus on today. But I'm actually going to read this one. If you want to get context, you want to get everything else, things that I've shared with how to study God's Word before in other videos, you can go ahead and read this. This is in John chapter 21, but it's starting in verse 15, and it's going to go to verse 19. It says, "When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, 'Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?' And he said to him, 'Yes, Lord, you know that I love you.' And he said to him, 'Feed my lambs.' He said to him a second time, 'Simon, son of John, do you love me?' He said to him, 'Yes, Lord, you know that I love you.' And he said to him, 'Tend my sheep.' He said to him the third time, 'Simon, son of John, do you love me?' Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, 'Do you love me?' And he said to him, 'Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you.' Jesus said to him, 'Feed my sheep. Truly I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. When you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go.' This he said to show by what kind of death he was to glorify God. And after saying this, he said to him, 'Follow me.'" The idea that I want to hit on is that Peter knew that he had messed up royally. He was grieving over this fact that he had denied knowing Jesus, denied being a follower of Jesus in Jesus' most desperate hour. As he was arrested, as he was standing before the Pharisees and the Sadducees, Peter straight out denies him. And that's the last interaction that he has, and then Jesus is put to death in the most horrifying way possible. And Peter has to sit with that he didn't do anything, that Jesus knew that this was going to happen, that told him that this was going to happen at the Last Supper, and he just boldly says, no, I would never do that. I would die for you. And he was given the opportunity hours later and doesn't take it. And it just fearfully hides and denies ever knowing Jesus. And Jesus has all right in this passage, and because of who he is, to just flat out just be like, Peter, you messed up. You done messed up, boy. But he instead has this aside with him and kind of rights some wrongs in this very simple way of just simply asking, Peter, do you love me? And it's important that he does this 3 times because, as we know, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Jesus becomes the bigger person in this, and even though there isn't a disagreement, there isn't this back and forth, Jesus becomes the bigger person in forgiving and setting things right by affirming that Peter does truly love Jesus, that he has an unconditional love for him 3 times, and gets that point across to cover up, to overthrow those 3 denials. Jesus does this in the only way that he can, of saying, I know your heart. I know how much you love me. I understand that this was what the circumstance was. And he extends a hand of grace to Peter instead of just rebuking him, of pushing him down, of pointing out his flaws. In the same way that in the stupid ways that I have shared with you guys that I messed up, that were out of my control, that weren't even things that I should be worrying about. The people around me at that time just either laughed it off, gave me grace, didn't bring it up, probably don't remember it really today, other than, that was kind of funny. But Jesus does this to affirm in Peter that, yes, he did mess up, but it's not what matters. What matters is where his heart is now, and that he has truly been sorrowful, been upset, that is distraught about the decisions that he made, that is, and that wants to do better. He's ashamed to go to Jesus at this time, and Jesus has to go to him. And Jesus finishes this up by saying the simple words of "Follow me." Those same words that he told Peter at the beginning of that ministry, of when he called him from being a fisherman. Now that he's back into fishing again, thinking that this is all I'm left to do, that Jesus calls him to do great things, to be a solid rock in the church life, for many years to come, and do great things and bring many people into the fold of Jesus and his ministry. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope that this was an encouragement to you. I hope that you can remember that when you do mess up, that you can find grace in Jesus. And that if you're on the other side of this, of that someone has wronged you, that you can put yourself in their shoes, in their perspective. And if they are sorrowful, extend that hand of grace to them. Or be the bigger person and go to them. There's a great phrase that I like that says, kill it before it kills you. And the idea of that when you have a disagreement with somebody, that you have something that's kind of bottled up, that you go to them and let them know that, hey, this is bothering me, or this is a disagreement that we have, and we need to talk this out before you hold on to it so long that it festers inside and it causes you more harm than actually than it would to have that conversation with somebody. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope to see you guys soon. See you guys.